Welcome to this episode of Happy Hobbit. Today, I'm going to walk you through how to make this absolutely delicious and beautiful special occasion Hobbit cake. Truly fit for anyone's 111th birthday or any day that you just want to add a touch of special, delicious sweetness to. I got it from this delightful cookbook called The Cottagecore Baking Book by Kayla Lobermeyer. You can find her on Instagram under the account Under a Tin Roof. And the cookbook calls it a pink lady strawberry cake. When I saw the image of it on the cover, I just had to have the cookbook, and I knew I had to make this cake. But for our intents and purposes, we're gonna call it a special occasion Hobbit cake. Because it truly is. To me, it's like as close as you can get to the cake that you see in the Peter Jackson films on Bilbo's 111th birthday. Okay, that's not true. That cake looked a little different, but this is just kind of like, it's given me that vibe to talk like the tweens these days. It's totally given that. It's given Bilbo's birthday cake. See, I can be hip. Hi, I'm Kili, also known as Kelly.
And I'm Feely, also known as Alex.
Welcome to our corner of the Shire,
Where we will show you how to bring Middle Earth
into your daily life to keep you
a happy Hobbit.
This cake does require a little bit of planning ahead. And I had a lot of fun doing that, having cake homework, as it were. And one of the things that I did was I splurged on buying some cake flour because it actually does make a difference for the final product. It results with a more tender, moist, airy cake with a finer crumb rather than all-purpose flour. So to start the strawberry reduction, you need to quarter about 32 ounces of fresh strawberries. And you're basically making a little mini jam. So that's what I'm doing here. But as you can see, some of the strawberries were really, really big. So if I were to just quarter that, it would have resulted in really big chunks. So I ended up just willy-nilly cutting it, whatever size it ended up, just to make it smaller. And voila! I also had the eggs and the buttermilk sitting out to get them to room temperature, because that is important. The butter, a Happy Hobbit classic. It was a warm day. I set it outside to try to soften it. It got a little too soft in other parts.
It's a curse for real.
But it all worked out. So next you're going to take a lemon and always wash it if you're going to use the zest. And in fact, I prefer to buy organic lemons for such purposes. And this is actually, I believe, a microplaner that I'm using to zest it. I just like using it because it's easier. It gets that really fine layer of rind off of the lemon and adds that beautiful, wonderful, fresh citrus kick. I wish I could really zest this fast in real life. So here we go. I have zested away. Look at all that beautiful, fresh zest. Gorgeous. So then you're going to squeeze the juice out of the lemon. Got our trusty old-fashioned lemon juicer. Now, the only problem or drawback with using one like this is that it doesn't account for seeds. So what you are going to have to do if you use one like this is go back in afterward and carefully pick out the lemon seeds, which can be a tedious process. And then, if you're me, you try to force all of the strawberries into a pan that is way too small, and then almost knock over your tripod while you're doing it. And then you adjust the angle and decide that, no, there 100% is no risk of this pan not being too small. Let's just go for it. So you add, oh, look, there's another seed in there. Then you add your lemon juice and your lemon zest to your strawberries in your saucepan that is hopefully larger than the one I chose. My thinking at the time was that if it's going to reduce, it's going to become, you know, less volume, but I wasn't really thinking about the in-between part and found another seed. Then you add 1/2 cup of granulated sugar and a pinch of salt. It looks pretty festive, you have to admit. So you put it on a stovetop and you want to bring it to a boil and then lower the heat. This is me slowly realizing that my stubbornness is not gonna pay off and that there's no realistic way I can mix all of this in this tiny little pan. I'm regretting all my life choices up to this point. So, there you go. I finally decided to upgrade, and that made the process a bit easier. So I do recommend you start with a larger pan to begin with. So you just want to keep an eye on it and keep stirring it as it's heating up to a boil. And once it does boil, you want to cook it for about 15 minutes. You want to see the volume reduce and you want to see the fruit mixture thicken. I don't know if I did it properly because you're supposed to end up with 1 cup of this reduction, and I ended up with more than that, and it took a lot longer than the cookbook said, so it could just be my inexperience here, but it did definitely start to thicken up. It started to smell really delicious, and I think overall what we're going for in this step is to just condense the flavor so that you're getting a more concentrated, natural, sweet strawberry flavor. To make the cake itself, you start with 3 cups of cake flour that you sift and 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder with 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And what I like to do is alternate adding those plus some salt, some kosher salt, about 1/2 teaspoon. I like to alternate them with the flour so that as I'm sifting with my little old-fashioned sifter, it's also mixing the different ingredients together. So that's why you saw me kind of layering it like a dry ingredient lasagna. The point of sifting is to make sure everything is light and airy and there aren't any big chunks, but unfortunately the only kosher salt we had was chunky. So here I am trying to like get it to go through the mesh and get into smaller pieces, and I think eventually I just gave up and put the chunks in there. But as you can see, it looks really nice and fluffy. Over here we're checking on the strawberry reduction. It's still reductioning away. Not quite what we're looking for yet, but it's definitely getting there. So to continue with the cake, you want to separate 6 egg whites. I have this fancy device. I'll let you see how it worked out. This was my first or second time using it. It's supposed to just help you separate the yolks from the whites. And at first I thought it was going great, and that then, yeah, there you go. So I can't say that I recommend this device. Maybe it would work for like a dragon egg or an ostrich egg or something with a much bigger yolk. But for a chicken egg, it was kind of problematic. As you can see, a lot of the white ended up in the bowl, so then I had to toss it back in, and eventually I got there and I got one nice yolk, but then trying to rescue this yolk from the whites wasn't going so well, and I guess I just abandoned that task for a moment. And just as I was with the saucepan, I was determined to find a way to make this thing work. Even though, in retrospect, it was obvious from the start it wasn't going to be that great of a fit for what I was trying to do. So here I am, determined as ever. And spoiler alert, it's that, you know, it's, yeah, that, oh gosh, no, now it's just getting gross. That, yeah, and now I'm like, I need to wash my hand. What am I doing with my life? Here's another egg. As you can tell, these aren't really from our chickens, and that yolk just slid right in. So, time to problem solve. You'd think at this point I would have stopped and tried a different method. But again, just like with the pan, I was determined to make it work.
It's okay. Sometimes we show people what not to do. Thank you.
I go one more. How's it gonna go? I mean, the concept is a good one, but it just kind of looks like troll bogeys. And you do really want to try to make sure you've got the yolks and the whites separate because they have different fat contents. So that just makes this next little part, see, yep, that much more of a disaster, and led to me tediously having to try to find a way to pick the yolk out of the whites.
If you are planning on making this wonderful cake, I highly recommend saving the 6 egg yolks from the 6 eggs that you use in the recipe because you only need the whites. I stuck mine in the fridge, and if you want an idea of how to use them, stick around because you're going to find out in an upcoming episode.
Meanwhile, our strawberry reduction has reduced quite nicely. And to continue making the cake, you're going to take 1.5 cups of salted butter that has been softened. Whether or not you softened it on the porch in the sun like I did is up to you. But you're going to combine that with 2 cups of granulated sugar. So I really love these stand mixers because they do so much of the work for me. And you can just set it and let it blend until it gets to the consistency that you want. This is called a paddle attachment, and you want it to blend for 3 to 4 minutes until it gets quite fluffy. This is when I realized I made a mistake with the eggs. You were supposed to add the egg whites one at a time. So I got an ice cream scooper and decided that was roughly about the amount of an egg. So that was my workaround. So if you make it at home, maybe don't use that weird egg separator thing, and maybe just delicately crack them. You kind of do that thing where you toss the yolk from shell to shell and then set it aside and just put the whites in one at a time. And part of why you're incorporating this so slowly is to make sure it gets incorporated really well. Ooh, look how sludgy that is. That's what we want. We want it to look like that. So it takes about 10 minutes to mix in all of the egg whites. And it does create a light and fluffy batter. As you can see, they're still blending in. And then you add some vanilla extract, about 2 teaspoons. And I have not used this much before, but you also use a teaspoon of strawberry extract, just to punch up that strawberry flavor a little more. So you let those blend, and then you alternately add the dry ingredients and the buttermilk. It's really difficult to film and bake at the same time. I was struggling here. I apologize that the footage is like an extreme close-up of the inside of the mixing bowl. But at least you're getting a great view. From what I understand, the point of alternating adding the ingredients is so that it blends more smoothly and incorporates more fully rather than getting chunky.
wondering if there was filming going on.
Just
White
in
pond.
time. Thankfully, for me, I was spared from having to try to film and bake at the same time when Cousin Gimli showed up. He and I had plans for later that evening, but he immediately rolled up his sleeves, jumped in, and grabbed the camera. Thanks, Cousin Gimli. You're a real pal. Always have been. Hopefully always will be. Thankfully, we've got a nice, smooth cake batter here. And now that I had my trusty assistant, the quality of the footage has improved significantly. The next step is to fold in a half cup of the strawberry reduction into the cake batter. According to Mary Berry, a fold is this, and then a line.
I guess Mary knows best.
She knows a lot more than me, that's for sure. I'm not the best at folding. Sometimes I just get frustrated and I start, like, stirring. So this is what it looked like after my careful folding. Now, my tip is to use this type of flour, Wondra. It's super fine. I think it's even like already been baked. And I use that when greasing a pan because what it does is it actually absorbs into the cake so that you don't have that dusty layer. So as you can see, I've already lined this pan with parchment and also am dusting it. We only have 2 9-inch cake pans. This cake calls for 3, so I had to bake the different layers of the cake in turns, which made making them all the same exact like amount a little tricky, but also not because it's guesswork anyway. So here I am, just guesstimating the amount that should go into each of these 2 pans. And the batter's really, really thick, and somehow you're supposed to level it all out. Ooh, look at the chunks of strawberry. Assuming as it heats, it'll like spread out, but I don't know. I'm telling you, Food Network, if you're looking for a new cinematographer, you can hire Cousin Gimli because some of these shots, these are just, I swear I can smell it. You bang the pan on the counter to try to get rid of any big bubbles, but given how viscous the batter was, I really doubted that there were bubbles in there anyway. But here they go, the first 2 pans going into Smaug's mouth. You bake them at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 to 35 minutes or until a toothpick comes out clean.
Yeah, it's okay.
And then you let them cool in their pans for about 10 minutes. This is my way of getting the cakes out of the pans, and this is why I really, really love using those pre-cut, pre-measured parchment sheets. Give it a little tap, lift, and look how easy that was. There's nothing sticking to the pan, there's no devastation and tears. However, our oven is a little off, so we usually end up with cake layers that are thicker on one side and thinner on the other side, but I find that not too difficult to accommodate for once I actually assemble the cake and
They smell really
and
good.
match up the thin side with the thick
It smells
side.
like strawberry buttermilk.
Let the cakes cool completely to room temperature before doing anything with them. I went on pause, and that was all that I did for that day because, as I mentioned, Cousin Gimli and I had plans. So we headed out for our great adventure after dinner, which was to go see a candlelit concert that was playing music from both The Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones. And
It was fantastic. I highly recommend you go if you have an opportunity to go in your area. It's beautiful, it's accessible, and it's live music. I decided to make this cake over the course of 2 days because just given how many steps it was, I thought it would be less stressful because I was really determined to make it look as fancy as possible. So on day 2, here I am starting in on the frosting, and sadly I lost my assistant, so I apologize that you don't have some Food Network worthy close-ups of the powdered sugar being sifted. But you sift about 5 cups of powdered sugar. Look how beautiful and fine that is. Again, you're doing this for the sake of its consistency and how it's going to end up in the final product. Then you blend a cup of softened salted butter, and you add to it the strawberry reduction, about 1/4 cup of it. And the recipe did not call for this, but I was weirded out by how chunky it was. So I decided to blend my strawberry reduction into more of a puree, because I just was having trouble imagining the chunks going over well inside of the frosting itself. So, I mean, look how delicious that is. You could just eat it with a spoon. It practically looks like a smoothie. So, you don't have to do that step if you don't want to, but do add your 1/4 cup to the frosting. It's not only going to add a lot of flavor, but it also gives it that beautiful, delicate pink color. There's no food dye in it. It really is just from the strawberry reduction. You also add some vanilla and a little bit of kosher salt to make the frosting. And you blend it for quite some time because you want it to thicken up. However, if you want to have a duotone frosting, like some white frosting, do hold off on adding the strawberry reduction at this stage, because as you can see, it's absolutely gorgeous, this beautiful pink color, but you can't undo that. So now it's nice and thick and ready to go. I placed my cooled cake layers in plastic bags overnight just to protect them and preserve their moisture. I don't like doing that because I hate wasting the plastic bags. So this fancy looking thing, kind of looks like a guillotine, is to help you level your cakes. So as I mentioned, our oven isn't perfectly level. So here I am just trying to see if there's any little spot that might be a little too tall. And yes, on the end it was a little tall, so you're just kind of wiggling this wire until you cut off that extra tall piece of cake. And to be perfectly honest, this was the only attempt I made. I gave up really quickly because I was like, this is quite unnecessary. I mean, to shave off this little layer, it just didn't feel worth it. So you could do that step if you want to. Then take a fancy cake plate. This is our fanciest one. Put a little dollop of frosting to help hold the layer of cake down as you decorate it. Put it in the center of the cake pan and start frosting. It's best to do a coat that sort of seals in the crumbs first. Okay, full disclosure, I am no professional cake decorator. If I look like I know what I'm doing, that's amazing. I am not gonna win any Shire cake decorating contests anytime soon, but you know what? That's kind of the point of me showing you this whole decorating process, because it's about the joy of doing, not achieving perfection. So through the magic of fast motion, you can see that I will fully frost this layer. I'm always terrified that I won't have enough frosting or I have too much frosting in the sandwich layers. So I've learned to be a little more generous with my frosting in the sandwich layers. On top of that, you add a few tablespoons of your strawberry reduction and spread it out. At this point, I kept thinking it almost looked like a pizza or something. You don't have to bring it right to the edge. You can, but you also want to make sure that the other layers will be able to seal when you sandwich them together. So to aid in that, you chill it in the refrigerator for like,
I don't know, 20, 30 minutes, something like that. Maybe 10, at least 10. So here I am putting on the second layer and repeating the process. Putting on more of that delicious creamy frosting. As you can see, the cake is still sliding around a little bit, and it worked out fine. I just obviously had my hand there to stabilize it. Add some more puree or reduction. Put it into chill again. Which, I didn't film that part because at some point it gets pretty boring. There it is. And the final layer. I will note that the outside of the cake does look quite dark, but as you'll see when I actually cut into it, it's not really that, that brown. So this was a little tricky. It was moving around a little bit. But again, nothing that I couldn't handle, and I'm sure if you make it, it's nothing you can't handle either. That's what it looks like from the side. It looks so cute already. And you could just leave it like that if you wanted to. But I, again, was determined to make it look like the cake on the cover. So I did start frosting the sides. And my goal was to not only seal in the crumbs, but to also to create like as smooth of a layer as possible. Which again, I'm not a professional. I didn't quite achieve a picture perfect finish. And also, it's, you know, it's a learning process. You're really just creating a canvas for you to have fun with. Because look at that. That's gorgeous. It's so pink. It's so cheerful. It's got little streaks from the jam. It's just delightful as it is. So you could just serve it like that. That would be perfectly fine. But again, I was determined. I don't know what I'm doing here, but this is some sort of device I believe we picked up at the Goodwill at some point. And you fill it with frosting, and it's got different decorating tips. And I'm literally just experimenting. I'm just looking at what design's coming out and deciding, okay, I can do this on the whole cake. So I'm doing just kind of like a bunting on the top of the cake. As you can see, it's not consistent. It's not even. It's not symmetrical. And that is part of the charm. And I have to say, that made it really relaxing and fun to know that, like, I didn't know how it was gonna end up looking like. And if you do this yourself, give yourself permission to experiment and to change your mind, because that's the fun thing with frosting. You can change your mind. For example, right here, I decided I don't think that looks as bold as I want it to look. I'm not sure if I like that down there. I might like it up here a little more. Whatever these designs are, let's do them in the middle. These weird little squiggles. Like, I think the main idea is to just add texture and dimension. Yeah, it's hanging off, but you know what? It's all gonna taste the same. And then I was kind of doing like a little ribbon on the bottom, and I decided against it, so there you go. You can just wipe it off and start all over again. Pretty magical if you ask me. If you are planning on decorating this cake with fresh strawberries, then I do recommend adding some sort of little filigree, some sort of cusp on the top of the cake like I'm doing here, just because if you're carrying it around or anything, then it gives a little lip to hold the berries in. So I'm just having fun. Again, not going for any particular style, just experimenting with the family, hovering and watching. And I knew I wanted like a big shape on the bottom, so I just started piping, because why not? And I just have to say, I love that Mischief is in the background watching everything, hoping to have some cake and hoping to have some frosting. Sweet little puppy. I mean, this took me a while. I wish it really took me this quick. So, as I mentioned, I didn't think ahead and I made all the frosting pink. So I went back and made a quick little batch of regular plain white frosting because I did really want it to have an extra little pop. And I think it makes a big difference. Like, just alternating the colors like this makes it seem a lot fancier. So I do recommend that you play with the colors a bit. Just pink and white. That's enough. And because I had more frosting left over, I added a bit more to the top once again. And I just think that those contrasting colors really make all the difference. There it is. And decorated with strawberries fresh from our garden. It couldn't be more beautiful. Oh my gosh, I think I filmed this cake for days. And why shouldn't I? It deserves it. Look at it. That is just such a Hobbit special occasion cake. My gosh.
I know, you should try these sometime. Oh, they're actually toasted? Yeah.
I'm so proud of this cake. I don't think I'm gonna let anyone eat any of it. I don't even want to cut it. I just want to look at it. I've made everyone line up and take pictures of it. And now we're just gonna keep admiring it. Here's an adorable shot of what it looked like sliced on a beautiful china plate. Very Hobbit core. And here's a cross section of the cake the next day after we ate nearly half of it in one night. As you can see, the layers are just perfect, beautifully formed, so deliciously balancing each other. I really cannot recommend this cake enough. And you know what? Mischief agreed.
We'll have to make you your own dessert soon, okay? We'll make you some. Oh, my most precious little baby child.
I sincerely hope you've enjoyed this episode of Happy Hobbit. And if you have, please do us a favor and hit like, hit subscribe, find us on social media, and give us a follow there. We love interacting with all of our viewers and hearing from you, especially if you've made a recipe or a craft or done something hobbity in your life. In fact, if you're looking for a way to add a little bit more halfling to your life, then I would like to recommend to you a peer that we now have on Patreon called Hearthling, for those of us who enjoy being cozy by the hearth. It is inspired by Hobbitcore, cottagecore, slow living, baking, wholesome content, living close in friendship with the earth. Hopefully get what that's a reference to. And there's a midsummer bundle available right now for free for anyone to download to check it out. And if it's something that you feel like you're into and you want monthly content like that, then please do sign up for that tier on my Patreon. The link will be somewhere. Because we would love to have you there. There's a cozy spot for you with your favorite chair waiting by the fire on our Hearthling tier. I'm so bad at saying these things. I'm no Don Marshall. Let's put it that way. I'm not good at sales pitches. The cookbook refers to it as a pink lady strawberry cake, but for our purposes, I think it's safe to call it a special occasion Hobbit cake. Maybe even Baggins Bash cake. A Baggins Bash buster. What are we busting though? Our taste buds. I'm good.
I'm real good. Give me a mic, I'll do stand up all night. It'll be great. This is a new format. I feel kind of awkward. Hopefully I didn't just itch my eyebrow off. And yeah, how do I do this? Usually I'm in the kitchen like about to make it, but I already made it and I wish I had it. I want it back. Interesting. It's not close to autumn and there's geese flying overhead. A flock of 5, probably Canada geese. Oh no, there's one flying the opposite direction all by itself. Buddy, turn around. They're all the other way. Oh, the poor thing. For those of you at home planning on making this episode. Okay. For those of you watching along. No one's gonna be cooking while they're watching this, like doing the same thing. Okay. For those of you planning on attempting this cake and succeeding, for those of you who want to bake at home, for those of you who are going to try this recipe at home, you may be wondering, what do I do with the 6 egg yolks from the 6 eggs that I only needed the whites for? Well, I stuck mine in the fridge and I did something else with them. What is it, you ask? I'm glad you asked. This is getting weird so fast.